Mendocino County is one of the best counties there are for this. And they have no problems.
Thank you, Mr. Swan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Michael Mannequin. Thanks, Chief, for doing this. God, now I'm at a loss for words. I'm sitting there with my head just spinning. I've talked to numerous city officials since we had that first meeting at the deal, and you as well, and we've discussed the big problem is what brought this about is people can see it. Now, everybody's talking about fences and all. That's a great idea. It should be fenced in. It should be kept from the public view. It attracts crooks. It attracts neighbors who feel like it attracts crooks, or they don't like the smell. I was talking to a city official today and said, I know what it smells like. I got in a truck with my buddy and he'd been smoking and I know what it smells like. I'm going, dude, that's not the same smell. I said, you don't know what it smells like. And that's the fact of the matter is, most people don't know what it smells like. I don't think the smell thing is that big of an issue. I think the seeing it. If there is in fact a 99 plant grow in Susanville, there's no way you can conceal it. Whatever this ordinance is going to contain, if we do it, it should have a limit, and it should have, I mean, my understanding of 215 is 6 mature and 12 immature. So if you just say 18 plants and you got to produce a script for every 18 plants, and nobody can see it, don't want to see it, don't want to know it's there. I don't know about anybody else, but there ain't a handful of people that know that I would have a crop. Everybody in town don't know it until now. So I have to get up here and I gotta say this, you know. And I told my whole, you can stand in my yard and not know it's there. I have permission from my neighbor to grow it. I don't think beyond that. There's a need for a whole hell of a lot more, you know. We discussed the 99 plant thing. That's according to the Attorney General. Anything less than 100 plants. And they're worried about lawsuits. Well, bullshit on that. You have, as a municipality, you're within your right to put certain regulations on this stuff. To make it criminal, no. I'm extremely allergic to lavender. If I lived next door to you and you'd have lavender in your yard, I would pitch a bitch. Well, you know what? There's no ordinance to stop you from growing lavender. If you love it and you don't want to grow it, I'm left with no choice but to move. There's a little bit of disparity there. And it doesn't, it's not wrong. The disparity in the law and in the fine, for God's sakes, if I'm a contractor and I build a new structure on even my house or someone else's house and I don't get the permits, what happens? A cease and desist order is issued. I'm ordered to get the permits. I'm ordered to pay fines but I'm not sent to jail. And in a case like me, if I were sent to jail for 6 months even, you go to jail, guess what? You lose your Social Security. I can't hold a full-time job. I'd lose my Social Security. I'd lose my home. I'd lose everything over growing a few plants in my backyard for medicinal purposes.
Which are illegal.
That's just, and trying to do it legally. I have everything. I have the doctor's recommendation. I have the prescription. I'm doing it right. I'm concealing it the way I think it should be. I don't want God and everybody to know I'm growing it out there. But God, He's okay. He can
Pretty
see
sure
it.
He knows.
Huh?
I'm pretty sure God knows.
Yeah. He can see it anyway. I don't care. I don't want you to drive down the street in your patrol car and see it. I don't want my neighbor to see it. I don't want kids walking down the street from school to see it, to know it's there. I don't want it. I don't want it. And why anybody else wouldn't think it's wise to conceal their crop, it's inconceivable to me that you wouldn't want to conceal your crop. If you've got this ordinance, whatever it's going to be, somebody's not going to be happy with it. We know that. Somebody's going to say, I want my goddamn 99 plants. Well, I'm sorry, you can't have it. We've got to do something here. If we've got to do something, let's do it logical. Let's do it fair. Let's don't make honest people into criminals. That's really what we want.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You bet.
Appreciate your comments.
My name's Nina.
I'm sorry?
My name's Nina.
Nina?
Yes.
Would you like to give your last name, Nina?
My name's Nina Blam.
Thank you.
I don't use the product, but I don't believe they should be stopped from growing their medication at all. If it's the smell, I agree with that gentleman. I can't stand the smell of growing cantaloupes. I can't stand cantaloupes. I mean, come on, make somebody stop growing their cantaloupes. That makes no sense. I use prescriptions. I've had a couple surgeries, and I don't believe I should have to pay the city to use my medication. So I disagree with that gentleman there. So I think that it's wrong for you guys to even put any kind of ordinance on it. I mean, that'd be on them if somebody stole their stuff. You know, it doesn't cause crime if you take away their medication. It's medication. Then that causes black market crime, in my opinion. So that's just it. I think it's wrong, okay?
Thank you for your opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you for this moment. My name is Gerald Nichols.
Thank you, Gerald.
We moved to Susanville, and I was under the impression that if I went by the 215 laws, that I would be able to live a happy life here in Susanville and not be scared of you cops. I've been scared of you cops for 58 years. When I was a youngster, my dad caved in the side of my face. From then on, they put me on Thorazine. I got to where I couldn't even wipe my bottom. So finally, a good old Mexican boy turned me on to marijuana when I was 10 years old. I've been using it ever since then, and I've had to hide, I've had to steal, I've had to go out and deal with people, man, that you wouldn't believe, in order to get my meds, so that I could go home, sit in my house, not bother anybody, and smoke my pot. Now I'm told that if I do that, here in Susanville, my lovely chief here is going to come arrest me, or send his boys to come and arrest me, or to take my money when I don't have any. So why don't you just put me in jail now, or extort me from the beginning, come up and say, hey, we know you're growing pot, we want our $1,000, warm our pockets, and we'll leave you alone. Because that's actually what you're doing. There's already a law out there. People just need to conform to the law and go by it, not put it in front of the schoolyard. You know, I had a friend over in Loyalton. The cops came and busted him. Why? The idiot had him in his front yard. The cop even told him, or the police officer, he told him, I wouldn't have messed with you if you would have had him in the backyard. But no, you have to have them out here where we can see them. Guess what? Get in the car. And I agreed with that. I agreed with that. If I have 1 or 2 plants in the backyard to try and get me through, so that I don't have to go out and find some dealer or go off into a meth house and sit there for 3 hours waiting for my little guy to come by with a bag. God, give me a break, brother. I'm 69 years old. And now I got to worry about you cops again? Why? Why can't you just be my friend? Well, I mean, come and smoke one with me. Oh, I'll eat one up. You know? I mean, you know, we don't have to take me to jail.
My employer prohibits that.
God bless you for your time.
Mr. Nichols, you understand that the way the law is written today in Susanville, you could grow marijuana plants in your front yard, even though you told the story where he was arrested for that.
I really don't think that they should be able to do that, though.
Okay.
I mean, and then again, we have so many that we're supposed to be able to drug. I was told one time it was 7, then I'm told it was 6, then I was told that it was 16. Okay, so myself, I only grow 3 in order to keep you guys out of my hair. I mean, it really, you know, and I really myself don't need any more of that. And as far as having to pay extortion to take my medicine, please, brother. God bless you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Would someone else like to speak?
Oh, go ahead. I'll follow her. My name's Margie, and I really don't want to give my yak's name
That's fine.
because I have 3 plants too. And I've never done this before. But I gotta tell you, the reason I have my 3 plants is I cut down on 90 pills a month that I don't have to take because of these plants. And that's a lot, 90 pills a month. And believe me, I take a lot more pills than that, but it's given me freedom. Where I was on methadone, and I told the doctors, that's too strong. I feel like I'm on drugs, you know, but not pot. I don't consider pot a drug in that sense. All I know is it's saving my life, and I can't afford to go lay down a concrete thing. No one knows where they're at. They're hidden in my yard. And then I've got a big fence, and I don't invite people into my yard to visit. You know, that's mine. And I don't want it taken away. And I can't afford to put in a building or do anything. I'm on Social Security. Unless Social Security will supplement my income, which I don't think that's gonna happen. But I'm just saying, I think it's great, and I think that we all should be allowed to have what we need to maintain our health. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It wasn't first this time, so, but I did have to write this down. My name's Lisa Bonta, and I'm a cancer patient, and, so I did need to write down my things here so I can remember through all the chemo. The registry of the plants, I think that this gentleman was just doing his homework and just kind of throwing out there an alternative, you know, something, it wasn't what has to happen, it was just, I read the same thing, it was just an idea. I don't agree that we should have to do that, but if that's what happens, then.
If there was a free registration, would you agree, or do you
If
disagree
there's a
with the
free
cost?
registration, it's the cost, you know, some of us on disability only make $600 a month.
So it's the cost that's
It
the
would be the
problem.
cost,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, the cost. I don't disagree with registry and the plant though. If the garden was to be, say, robbed, the garden's registered and it was to be robbed, what kind of security, you know, through the police department, are you gonna come and investigate who, you know, stole these plants that are registered with the city? You know, are we protected with that?
And we can get restitution if you got for criminal.
You know what I mean? And
Let her speak, please.
so, because we're losing out, you know, on the money that we'll have to go pay to go to a dispensary or someone else if we're robbed, so, that just came up. I agree the ban on medical marijuana makes criminals of everybody, and it won't stop profiteering. Forcing indoor cultivation increases the risk of fire, theft, home invasions, and pollution, as well as adding additional stress on our already maxed out electrical and natural resources. The cost to build an up-to-code structure in Shasta County is estimated at $12,000. And that is more than a whole year's income of my Social Security. I just think that the most important thing for the 215 patient is to make sure that patients can grow enough to fulfill the spirit of 215. I agree with regulations, but if the city decides to restrict growers in a way that provides a hardship on patients, I, as a cancer patient, will referendum that decision. If it violates my native rights under ERFA. So I just want to know that it costs a lot for a referendum, and we don't want to have to do that, but if it provides a hardship on the patients, then we have no other recourse.
Thank you.
My name's Franahan Bill. I'm not a grower or a user. I am a rancher. I raise hay, alfalfa hay and hell. But all I want to say is that I definitely support the use of medical marijuana.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francis.
Someone else?
I would like to add something.
Go right ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
Have you noticed that a lot of us that came up here to speak, and a lot of us in this room are senior citizens?
No, I did not notice. That's a protected class, and I would not notice
And
that.
did you realize that as we get older, we're more inclined to get things like cancer and to have medical pain problems and such? I do think this is an issue that very much concerns the seniors in this community, many of which are on a fixed income. And would the city, if this were to pass, have a fund for those that couldn't afford it to build a new structure and pay for their utility bill. In other words, if you're gonna make me build a structure and I'm on a fixed income, I can't come up with money for that. So I'm being, in effect, not allowed to grow my medicine. Would the city consider paying for that grow shed and paying for my electrical
I
bill?
would assume not, just
I
like.
would
if you-
assume not as well.
If you can't pay for your auto insurance, you can't drive, the city's not gonna pay for your auto insurance.
I understand that, but the city
Would assume
isn't
not.
making the law saying that I have to have
I think
full
you're
coverage.
arguing that the ordinance that was presented is too much of a
That
burden
it's
upon the
restricted
people.
financially.
I
is,
received that, Arguing the fact that we're gonna pay for it for you,
No, I know it's
It's a rhetorical
ridiculous, but it's a point that I'm trying to make a rhetorical point, yes, sir.
I appreciate that, thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
I just wanted to kind of echo what the woman there in orange had to say about how many pills she used to take, and because of the marijuana, she didn't have to take near as many. And they've done studies, and that in every state that has legalized medical marijuana, the death toll from overdose from prescription drugs has gone down 2,000 people for every state in a year. So it's proof right there that the medicine works, that in conjunction with pain pills, you don't have to take near as many. And that's the only thing I want to say.
Thank you.
Back.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Greg Barra, and I'm not a 215 card holder, and I'm not a grower, but as a citizen, I was concerned more about the visibility of the plants from the sidewalk or the streets, and that seems to be an issue where the growers seem to be pretty conscientious of that, and probably mostly because of theft and stuff. But that was my concern, because visibility from the street is going to create theft, but mostly probably from teenagers, going to create calls for the PD and stuff. So I think the ordinance should probably address just visibility. I see that some of the growers have pretty much addressed their issues. I've never seen anything from the streets, but I haven't really looked. You know, so I think that's one of the issues the ordinance should address. The other is probably a minimal, not a burdening fee, grower's fee or something. To that effect, just to offset the PD's, I'm sure there'll be increased calls if people know somebody's a grower and they're a recreational user. There's probably going to be, maybe thefts in that area. So those would be my two concerns. And it seems like the growers who spoke tonight, Mr. Mankins in particular, are pretty conscientious about the visibility of their crop. And it doesn't sound like they're growing an acre of corn out there, that's so visible. But anyway, those were my concerns as a citizen. And then the minimal non-burdening fee, maybe it may be a burden to some, but I would think that there's probably a savings of money in that they get to grow their own, and so there might be some, but I think to offset the PD's calls, I'm sure they'll increase. Maybe not, but those are my two concerns. So anyway, thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett.
So, my ideal resolution on this
Okay,
thing.
let me take notes.
Take notes.
I have, let me, give it to me, sir.
Out of sight, out of mind, period,
Outside
like
our
we
mind.
talked
I love
about.
that.
Limit the number of plants,
Okay.
pure and simple, and enforce it. Don't go to a 99 plant grow and ask us and be satisfied with seeing 2 or 3 prescriptions. Make them show, come
So
up
when you're
with a
talking
number.
about, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when you're talking about limiting number of plants, what is the consensus of a number?
Well, what's 215 says, 6 mature, 12 immature, per patient. So derive it from that.
My,
Yeah.
420 says that, yes.
420 says that, excuse me.
But subsection B says, notwithstanding subsection A, you have an affirmative defense to the amount of plants you grow based upon your medical recommendation. Meaning, if you have 6 and 12, but your doctor says you can have 24, that's an affirmative defense to growing more plants.
I'm sure-
Unless regulated by a local entity.
I'm
So
sure there's doctors out there prescribing 24 and they're idiots. What person can smoke 24 plants in a year, for God's sake?
So limit the number of plants, but I don't know what the consensus on the
And
number of
that's gonna be an irreputable doctor, because the doctor that I went to, he didn't recommend very damn much, I'll tell you that. Not very much, and he was adamant about it, he was out of Reading. But anyway, back to
Yeah.
out of sight, out of mind,
Yes, sir.
a setback, excluding if you have permission from your neighbor. No civil penalty, no,
No
not gonna
criminal
put
penalty.
anybody in
Are you
jail
talking
over
about no
this.
criminal penalty?
Criminal, excuse me, no criminal penalty, don't put anybody in jail over this. If you want a cease and desist order and do fines, okay, I got it. I think a fee for every plant is a little absurd. I'm not crazy about having it registered with y'all, but if I have to comply, that's what I'll do. And I suspect that's probably what's gonna come from the end of this anyway. So,
Well, I don't know.
I just wanna be able to grow a few plants outside and be done.
Fair
I
enough.
don't want, that's all I wanna do. That's it. I don't wanna break the law. I don't wanna be forced to break the law. I don't wanna be forced to go buy it on the black market. I don't wanna be forced to grow it outside knowing it's illegal and I can get my butt thrown in jail and lose everything I own. I don't wanna be put in that position to have to make that decision. And as I said before, I know not everybody's gonna be happy if there's a limit on the number of plants and you have to produce if it's 20 plants, produce a script for every 20 plants. So if you go to a 99 plant grow, you wanna see 5 of them, not 1 or 2. You wanna see them all. Enforce the law.
Thank you.
Annie Westerback, I would like to see in the regulations, if you're gonna go forward to make a number of regulations, the amount of medication for the year that one patient may possess, some amount, or whether it's 3 pounds or whatever, how much does one person get to have for a year? Is it based on plants truly, or is it based on what the plant can produce? Because we all know in Lassen County, years can really vary. In some years, a plant might only get this big, and the next year you might have a bigger one. So one patient might use 12 plants of a certain size, or 18. Whereas another year, maybe they use 3 or 6. So it varies. So how are the regulations going to reflect what medication is being processed and dried? And is this, because cultivation includes it all, I read the ordinance. So we're not just concerned about how many plants, but how much they produce. So I need to know, if you're going to have a regulation, how much per plant, how many patients. I mean, if I'm going to grow a certain amount for 6 patients, that's one thing. If I'm having 6 plants for each person,
Should you be allowed to grow for 6 patients on your lot in the city of Susanville?
perhaps if the lot is appropriate, measured in size, setbacks, and all the other regulations that are set, perhaps by fence. So I think the ball is in your court as to how many plants by the ordinance that you're going to write. Can a half acre have 18 plants? Can a quarter acre have, can a 50 by 50 backyard have 3? I don't know. I'm not the regulatory person here, but it seems that it would be reflected to be fair to the neighbors with
Thank you guys
setbacks.
for coming. Thank you.
Parameters we're here to set those parameters in a regulatory state, and I just know that I need to know, can I build a higher fence than 6 feet? Can I add something new? You know, because when I called it was 6 feet is a minimum, but do I need to put something over? Do I need to cover what do I need to secure a garden of whatever number, 30, 40, 50? If my lot is 5 acres in the city, I'm not that big, there is one, but if it's of a certain size. So those parameters, if they were set by lot size and distance from the home, I know I think one of the counties, I think it's Mendocino again, is 50 feet from a house or 100 feet. And you want them that far from a residence? I don't know how everybody feels about that, you know? So is 3 in a backyard gonna hurt your neighbor, or is 3, 6, 12, 8, I don't know.
Thank you.
My name is Laura Stafford. I'm gonna change it up a little bit. I don't agree with it at all. For property values, I don't want someone next door to me growing it. My husband and I, we bought a home here a couple years ago in the wintertime, and come spring, voila, somebody was growing tons of plants, you know, right next door. How do we know in the wintertime when you are buying a house if there's going to be a garden next door to you? I totally disagree. I don't understand if you guys need 3 or 6 plants of why you're talking about growing so many and how you have the regulations to grow for other people. Shouldn't you have permits or business license? She's talking, doing it for her clients, you know. Isn't that medicine and a physician? Are you a physician to do that for your clients?
Call it a collective.
Sir.
I don't know all these, but I am against it. I don't believe, you know, that I don't want someone next door to me growing it. I think it should be inside. I think there should be where you can just do as many as your card says. You know, why, if you're doing it for other people, there should be permits and business license and things like this. I mean, I understand that people need medication. I'm sorry for cancer patients, you know, my heart goes out to them, but I don't understand why you can't go to Rite Aid and get it, you know, but I'm sure that's my way of thinking, that it should be, you know, just like regular medication, but I'm against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Would someone else like to speak?
I'd like to ask her a question. May I?
You can ask a question. She doesn't have to answer it.
Okay. What about the garden did you find most offensive? Was there too many? Was it the smell?
It was very big. He had 2 vicious dogs, and it was only a little 4-foot fence.
Fence was not?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And that's what we're talking about, concealing it, so you don't have to see it and deal with it and attract criminals to the neighborhood and this kind of
Well,
thing.
there's a major criminal element when you're doing that because people are trying to come in and then they do these vicious dogs. I mean, we had no idea. I'm against it.
Okay, she got to share her opinion and she
Sure,
solicits her
sure,
opinion. But again, we're not gonna convince someone else of their opinion on this today. It is an opportunity to share, and I appreciate her courage to share, and I also appreciate yours. Before you speak, Mr. Mankins, I think there was someone else that raised their hand. And if I appropriately count, that's the 3rd time you spoke, so if there is someone else, let them speak first. Was there someone in the back?
Yeah.
Yes, come speak first, sir, and then you can.
I want to thank you for an opportunity.
Would you mind giving your
My
name,
name
sir?
is Ken Davis.
Thank
I've
you,
been a
Mr.
citizen of Susanville for about 2 years. I've been a cannabis smoker for almost 10 years now. I have a bad heart condition, which the cannabis helps me reduce my heart rate without taking the heavy medications that can stop my heart. The whole purpose of this is, and I've listened to everybody, and I believe that the chief needs to have some sort of regulation within the growers that we can register our grows so we're marked as friendlies. We're not here to be criminals. Second of all, I've read up on a lot of these different ordinances. Mendocino County was one of them that was real good. Concerning the price per tag and stuff, they also have for people that are on Social Security to get a reduced fee, such as a half rate. So $17.50 per plan.